Okay, so what you see here is Business Performance Center, which is part of Business Automation Insights. And this is where Theo goes to manage his business performance. When he first logs in, he sees these 4 dashboards, which are just samples that we provide from IBM to get you started. Things like my process dashboards, where I can see overall process performance of anything that's running within the workflow platform. I can just go in there and I get a set of sample visualizations that you can go to look at. You can copy and paste them for yourself for reuse with your own dashboards or whatnot. But let's get back to Theo. So Theo comes in here and he goes into his hiring scorecard. And Theo had spent some time previously setting this up by choosing the source of his information, the hiring workflow process running within Business Automation Workflow, and then creating these visualizations within a matter of minutes to help him get better insight into what he is looking to achieve. And if we recall, his hypothesis before was, I think things are taking too long, and that's why we're not getting what we need. And to give him that insight in the process, he's created several visualizations. He's created his requests by department so he can see how many hiring requests am I getting by department. He can quickly zoom into them and kind of see how many came from finance or human resources or software engineering, etc. He can see how many requests he has by contract, full-time, or part-time employment. He can see how many he's getting by location. In this case, Chicago, Boston, Atlanta, etc. And I can track that. But more important to Theo is, how are things performing? He can see what his average execution time is by week. He can look at how many processes have actually started and how many are currently at risk, and meaning they're not meeting their workflow objectives or their overall organizational objectives. He can also look at it and see for each process week by week, what are the steps in the process that are taking the most amount of time? He can go in here and see, looks like the finding the position candidates is probably the long pole in the tent, and that's okay, but I'll see that seems to be taking a long time for people to actually submit the request. Maybe I should go look into that later. But for now, let's just go on. You can also see that of the requests that are coming in from a hiring perspective, that only about 33% of them are getting approved by the manager to actually hire. So maybe that's the reason. And overall, we can see how we're trending. To give you an idea of how easy it is for Theo to create these visualizations, let's try it out. So here Theo goes in and he says, hey, I want to create a KPI that I want to manage. So I go into my KPI, I choose that, I give it a name. So I want to measure KPI for number of hirings per month. And maybe that's his KPI. I do create, and I get into a quick configuration that walks me through a series of steps of what I need to do. First thing I do is what process do I want to, or workflow do I want to actually monitor? And that's the HR one. Next, I go to my filters. Now it's showing I have 172 that are currently been run, but I only want to look at those that have completed because I want to actually measure my completion rate of how many hirings I'm doing per month. So here I go very quickly, go down, choose my state, and my workflows that are completed. And you can see it populates for me a series of values that I can choose. And I hit apply. And now I can see about 110. Let's go quickly finish up this visualization. I'm going to create my overall range, hit apply, and then I want to set some thresholds. And a threshold is the ranges I want to measure that's within, so I can get a real quick visualization of how things are performing. So my first range is anything under 100, it's just okay, no big deal. Anything over that, I'm doing good. Let me create one more. Anything over 200 hires per month, I'm doing great. And I apply that, and you know what? I don't really like the colors. So you can do things like change your colors real quickly. Maybe this typical red, yellow, green stoplight that we do. And he looks at that, yeah, that looks good to me. Let me go back to my dashboard. And here I can see very quickly now, I've got a KPI that's measuring real time how I'm performing and I'm hitting my target. And that's just to give you a quick sample of how easy it is for Theo or a business manager to create these rich dashboards to give you better insight to managing the outcomes of your business. Thank you.